So there are 5 meta arguments are there, which give some extra capability to the block wherever we have added that. Okay, so already we saw the count and for each. So those are also meta arguments. So next we will see depends on. Okay, so usually what happens in Terraform, it tries to do a lot of things parallel. Okay, if you have multiple resources are there, maybe if you are creating 2 VMs, okay, one database, one web, 2 VMs are there. So what it does, it doesn't care. It will do all the things parallelly. So it will try to kick off 2 resources, 2 threads, and it will try to create those parallelly. Okay, but there are circumstances where you don't want that to happen. You want a specific flow. Okay, maybe first the database server to be built, and after that, once the DB server is built, then only the app server or the web server start building. Okay, so that is one of the use case. Okay, so wherever you want to control the flow, how the resources to be created, we use that. Okay. Let me put this. Okay.
They run three resource group, right?
Yeah, yes. So what we are going to create, maybe yeah, 3 resource group is fine enough for the example. So we are going to create 3 resource group. Okay. So let's see how it is going to create those 3. Okay, this name has to be unique. Okay, because it sees the whole thing. This dot rg1. So this is rg2 is unique. rg3 is unique. Okay, so we won't get any error that same name existing or something like that. Our name of the rg is also different. Okay, so let's see how it will create. Will it create in the same sequence or how it is? So it is showing that these all 3 will be created. But it has not started creating. It is just showing that first. And it will try to create all the things parallelly. Okay, it will initiate 3 kind of API calls to the Azure RM that, okay, create these 3 resource groups. Okay, so here we can see the RG3 creating first. Okay, then RG1, then RG2, and RG2 got completed first, then RG3, RG1. Okay, so it doesn't matter. Like it will try to create everything parallelly. Okay, in one shot, it will try to do that. Okay, but many times it is not what we intend to do. Maybe we want the exactly in sequence, or let's say we want the RG3 to be first. We want the RG3 to be created first, then RG2, then RG1. Okay. Or let's stick to the common sequence 1, 2, 3. Okay. So what we do, then we will go to here RG02. Okay. So RG02, what we will do, we will use a meta arguments called depends on. So this block is depending on this block. Okay. So that means let's do that first, then we will see the meaning. Depends on. So this is a meta argument. Okay. And it is a list. So it can depend on multiple things. Okay, it can depend on one or many, but that's why it's a list. Okay, so we will see that it will depend on this Azure RM underscore resource group dot rg1. So what will happen when Terraform tries to, let's say, try to do these things parallelly. So these two things first, let's see. So Terraform tries to create this and this parallelly. So when Terraform is trying to create this, the second one, it shows that, oh wait, it depends on this one. Okay, so I cannot do it unless the RG1 is done first. So it will wait till this one is completed. And once this is completed, yeah, then it will proceed with this. Got it, right?
Yes.
Okay. So similarly for the third one, what we will do, we will put a depends on the second. On this block, we will put a depends. Okay. So let's put it depends on RG2. Okay. We can give it, we can give one as well, but doesn't matter because anyway, this is dependent on, this block is dependent on one. So internally, it means that three is also depend on all these two. Got it?
Yeah.
So now Terraform when tries to do all the things parallelly, what it will see that, okay, the RG3 is depending on two. So it will control will go to here, RG3, or sorry, RG2, this block. Now this RG2, it will see, it cannot create because it is depending on RG1. Okay, so it will go here. And first it will create this. Once the RG1 is created, now then this is satisfied and to this block will go. And finally, once the second block is done, this block will complete. Okay, so our sequence, how we wanted, RG1, 2, 3 will be done. Okay, so let's do it again at Terraform apply. Oh, okay. We have to destroy it first because already it's there. So this is also very common use of this depends on one. So wherever we want to take the creation, the resource creation flow in how we want it. So we are only, this is the option. Okay, depends on. This we don't have to explicitly say. Let's say you are creating a subnet, okay, and a subnet has to be inside a VNet, correct?
Yes.
So in that, on those scenario, you don't have to give like this depends on the subnet creation block. Like here, if you see on the earlier example, here we are creating a VNet and then we are creating a subnet inside a VNet. Okay, but here we have not used any depends on or anything because it knows inherently that this has to be created first, the VNet and this, because once it goes to the subnet, here it will see what is the VNet name. So it will go here, Azure RM virtual network, and it will go here and see, okay, is it there or not? Okay, it's not there, so let's create it first. Okay, so internally it knows that it will do a dependency graph and it will create kind of like which one resource and all to be created first. Okay, because here there is a dependency that internal dependencies, like a subnet cannot be created outside a VNet, right? So you have to create a VNet first and then the subnet. So there is no point giving it depends on from our side. It's already internally there. Okay. But in scenarios where the resources are completely isolated, like you are creating 3 VMs, okay, but you want a specific sequence to be taken. So in those scenarios, you have to use that depends on. And like this, our example, we are creating 3 resource group, both are all are isolated. Okay, they can be created in parallel in one shot, but no, we want a specific sequence, then yeah, we can go ahead. So now let's do the apply. So similarly in the destroy also, when we try to destroy, it cannot destroy this one first. Okay, it will go on the opposite sequence because this block is dependent to this one. So this block depends on this. So we cannot destroy this one first. Okay. Similarly, this block third is dependent on two, so we cannot destroy the two first. Okay. So the destroy sequence will be opposite. So destroy, it will do first, this will be destroyed, then this, and then this. Okay. So here we can see the sequence is exactly followed as how we intended. The first one is RG1 creating, RG1 creation complete, then RG2 started complete, then third started, third complete. Okay. So this is where we have to use the depends on. This is a meta argument. So it gives some extra capability to this block. Okay. And the meta arguments, you cannot put it everywhere, wherever you want. Okay. This meta argument, you cannot put it in the output block or anywhere like that. We can put all these meta arguments in kind of our this module block and the resource block. Okay. We'll see the module block later. Now, as we are in the resource block, we can put it here. Okay. So now when we do a destroy, the destroy will follow the opposite sequence. Okay. So like first this one will be destroyed and three, then two, then one. Exactly opposite whatever how it was created. Any doubt, Eric, for the data for this depends on?
No, for now, no.
Okay. So that depends on count. We already did that. So let's say if you have to repeat anything, then we use the count. Okay, which is a integer, 0 or more. Okay. And the next one is for each. So both we have discussed earlier in the loops topic. So I won't say these again. Okay, so these two are for loops for repeating the block. The next one meta argument is provider and life cycle. Yeah, provision. Yeah. So next one is provider. Let's see that. What is this provider block? So here you see while destroying also, it will destroy, it will take the opposite sequence, like how it was created. The first, the resource will be removed where there is no dependency. So RG3 is not dependent on anything. So it will remove, then RG2, then RG1. Okay, so the next one what we're going to read is meta argument called provider. So when this use case, like what is the use case of this is, let's say you have got mm, two providers, okay, like two subscriptions, okay, because one, this provider is tied to one subscription, right? In the here we can say the client, mm, the client what is the tenant ID and all that will be there. Okay, the connectivity details will be there here. Subscription ID is there and all that. So we cannot test it in this our use case because I have only one subscription. But in some of the environment where there are multiple subscriptions. Okay, so let's say here tenant ID. Client secret. Client ID. Okay. Tenant ID and subscription. Yeah, no. Anything else? No. Okay. So let's say we have two subscriptions. Okay. One may be some production subscription. One may be some some other subscription. Okay. So we can say here Azure RM dash prod, and we can create one more maybe Azure RM dash dev. Okay, so maybe you want to create a something on the dev side. Azure RM dash prod is this one, and Azure RM dash dev is this one. Okay, so you have got multiple subscriptions and you want to create some resource in both of these. Okay, so how you will identify that, let's say where it will create, because let's say you want to create a resource group. Okay, so let's say we want to create one resource group. So how it knows that which subscription it will go, because in the resource we don't have anything called as subscription. If we see here, we don't have anything which is differentiating like which subscription that needs to be created. Got it, right? So this is our problem statement. Okay, so now how to identify which subscription we need to create. So only the differentiator is this one. The providers are different. Okay, so through this we know, okay, which provider we need to go. So let's say our requirement is to create the resource in the dev subscription. One resource needs to go to the dev, and maybe one more RG we will create that will go on the prod. Okay, so for that we have to use the meta argument called provider. Okay, and the block names is like providers, and give that provider name. That's it. Okay, so where is it? Yeah, so here provider. Okay, so in provider block is there. Okay, and in this provider block, which resource we want to take. One second, let me just check for the this example is for the AWS. Okay, because AWS has a different one. Let me, yeah. So for the Azure RM, for the Azure, it is directly provider equal to, we have to give which provider we want to create. Okay, Azure RM dash dev, or which one we want to go. Provider block this one. Okay. Okay. Just a moment. For the AWS and this one, there is slight difference. Here the block for the provider. Let's just check. Let me check the documentation for the provider block here. Azure RM meta argument. provider meta argument here. Okay, Google.Europe like that. For the Azure, a provider meta accepts a provider dot alias reference. Okay, so provider dot whatever name we have. So in this use case, it is giving provider equal to alias name dot Europe. So for each for different one, it's bit different. For AWS, it is slightly different. For this example is given, they have given for the GCP. Okay, so its value should be provider dot alias. So provider equal to provider dot alias. So provider is Google dot alias. Okay, yeah. So we have to give here one alias. Let's say give it prod, and here we can give one alias. Let's say dev. Okay, so we want to create this resource group for dev. So what we will give, what is our provider name is Azure RM dev dot alias name. Okay, so this is the way we are giving provider dot alias. Okay, provider name, whichever we want to create, and dot alias. So whatever is the alias name for this dev. Okay, and let's see that Google provider. Okay, the provider name also can be same, so we don't have to give anything. Same provider name, that should be fine. Thanks. Okay, yeah, because this is the differentiator, and with that we can know which it is going for. So Azure RM dash Azure RM dot dev. Okay, so this one. This is not very frequently used and not very common as well. So that's yeah, we don't need multiple in this one. So let's see. Yeah, so in the provider, both are same. Okay, the name of the provider is same, but here only the alias is difference. Here the no alias, here alias. So we are using both alias to differentiate both of them. Okay, so this way we can this meta argument can be used to create resources in different uh, subscriptions. Okay, so let's say we want to create a resource group RG2, but we want to create that in the production subscription. So similarly in provider, we have to give Azure RM dot prod. Okay, so similarly, this provider, this resource group will be created in production subscription. This one will be created in the dev subscription. Okay, we cannot test it here because we only have one subscription. Like only have one pay-as-you-go subscription. But maybe yeah, if you have more subscription, or in Office, if you get some test subscriptions, multiple, you can test this out. Okay, by having them using a multiple provider blocks. Okay. Anyway, we don't need, like, usually it is not very common in one code you are going to create on production or dev and all. Usually all the code will be different for each environment. So that's why it is not very commonly used. Okay. So I just wanted to show you the purpose of this meta argument called provider. Okay. So I'm just commenting all the things because when you're referring this code, when we push it in the GitHub, okay, you can refer the examples, okay, whichever we used, data block and and the meta arguments providers. Okay, so these are all the meta arguments. Okay, like whichever one we did, all the meta arguments. Let's see if we did all the meta arguments or not. Where is it? Yeah, so meta arguments are special constructs in Terraform which are available for resource, module, and data block. Okay, so these can be used in these three places. They assist in achieving certain requirements and they give extra capability. Depends on we did, count we did, for each we did, provider we did. Okay, life cycle we will see a bit later when we are creating more resources. Okay, so life cycle is something you want to control how a resource is handled. Okay, maybe let's say you want to you don't want to delete the resource by mistake. Okay, somebody shouldn't delete the resource. Okay, so that special settings and all you can apply in the life cycle block. Okay, and so this one we will see little bit when we are creating more resources and modules. Okay, the life cycle one, and after that, which is our next block. Okay, meta arguments life cycle. Okay, so next one is provisioners. Okay, so this block will is pending. So where is it our? Yeah, so we saw each of the blocks, data blocks. Okay, okay, provisioner block. Kind of it is a unique like requirement for that when you want to trigger something inside a VM. Okay, so then we need the provisioner block. Okay, you want to run something on your laptop on wherever you are creating that module from. Okay, let's say you want to run some command and take the output of that command. Okay, from the Terraform code. So then you use that provisioner block. Or let's say you created a VM. Okay, you created a Linux or Windows VM, anything, and you want to trigger something on remotely on that newly created VM. So then we use that provisioner block. Okay, so that is the use case for the provisioner block. Let's see that an example. Data block. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So Terraform, it alone cannot do. Okay, it can create the resources, but anything inside the Terraform you have to do. Sorry, anything inside the VM you have to do. You need to connect to the VM, right? So connecting to the VM, then you again need the ports and all to be open, SSH or WinRM port. Okay, so if for Linux it is SSH connection, it will make. For Windows it is WinRM. Okay, and or something you want to do locally wherever you have triggered the Terraform. You want to do something, we have to use provisioner. Okay, so doing something locally is not very pretty common. We will anyway do it, but it's not very widely used. But yeah, this use case is there. Like you create some VM and inside the VM you run some script. Okay, so that is a very common requirement. Okay, where maybe trigger some Puppet script or something like that, which will further install all the softwares and all. Okay, so that is a common requirement. So all the public cloud vendors support some level of remote access. So EC2 is there. So the argument name in EC2 is Amazon is user data. In Microsoft Azure, it is custom data. Okay, we have to do that on either of these, either Azure RM virtual machine in that block, custom data, or GCP, it is something else. Okay, so let's see the Microsoft one. And there are three generic providers. Okay, one is sorry, Eric, any queries?
No.
Okay, so one of the requirement is, let's say you want to send some file to the remote server. Okay, because you want to run some script on that remote server. So before running the script, you need to send the file, right? Send the script file. So the provisioner name for that will be file, like uploading any file to that remote server, you use a file. And you want to run something locally on the machine, like wherever we did the Terraform apply or Terraform plan, in on that machine you want to run something, we have to use this provisioner local exec. Okay. And if we want to run something on the remote VM, let's say we created a Ubuntu VM, okay, and we want to run some command inside that. Okay, so we have to use this remote exec. So these three provisioners are there. One is file, local exec, and remote exec. Okay. And the thing is that this is kind of not very ideal way of in Terraform. So Terraform tries to Terraform says that use the provisioners to the minimum. Okay, because it won't track, like it doesn't know whether the command and all everything went successful or how it is. Okay, so it will try to do it again and again. For example, if you created a resource group and you want to run the command again, it won't create it, right? It knows that, it sees it in the state file and it creates that. Okay, but as these are out of the control, these are not running in the Terraform, they are running inside the VM. So Terraform has got no clue, okay, what is the output and like how it ran and all that. Okay, so that's why it says that use keep the minimum for the usage. Okay, as a last option, if provisioner is used, then keep the below points. Okay, one is uh, whenever the resource is getting created or destroyed, then only that these all provisioner will get done. So not on each apply time. Okay, if you are modifying anything, it won't be triggered. So when a creation time provisioner fails, okay, so let's say when during the creation of a resource, during the creation of a VM, the script failed. Okay, so it doesn't know what is the impact of that on that resource, so it will mark it as taint. Okay, taint means it is created but it is not a healthy status. Okay, so it doesn't know, Terraform doesn't know how to fix it. Okay, so and during a destroy also, if it fails, Terraform doesn't destroy the resource and try to run the provisioner again to the next apply. So during the destroy time, let's say the script or something fails, it will again try to apply it next time. Okay. And a single resource can have multiple provisioners. The provisioners will run in the order they appear. Okay. So in one remote server, let's say you want to run three scripts you want to execute remotely. So whatever the order is given, it will follow that. Okay. So yeah, this is a generic provisioner file. We will do this. Okay. Eric, what is the time? Like, is it fine to continue for next 15-20 minutes or?
No, it already started meeting in my job.
Oh, okay.
We
Okay.
start morning.
Okay. So let's halt at this point. Okay. This provisioners we will do tomorrow. So this is mainly to trigger something inside the VM. Okay. Inside the remote server, some scripts and all. We will look into this one tomorrow. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. See you then. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you.